Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, and today we've just had another patch announced by DICE, this time patch 2.11. So this is a smaller patch this time, and it will be the intermediate step between patch 2.1 and patch 2.2, which will include the new orbital rework and some of the new vault weapons. So the focus of this patch is on weapon changes, and let's begin here with controllers, because they've seen a couple of changes to recoil control. So high recoil weapons has been something I've seen a lot of you guys in the comments complaining about who play on controller, and you should be happy with the next couple of changes. So the first one here is an issue that DICE have actually resolved. So it says here that firing continuously with weapons while using a controller would sometimes desync recoil between the client and the server, and as a result the shots miss their target when they should have actually hit, and this has now been resolved. So what some of you may have been experiencing as high recoil may have just been a server issue. And the second thing is that vault weapons now properly apply recoil reduction when playing on console. So for those of you who aren't aware, recoil on controller is actually only 75% of that which it is on mouse and keyboard, so you get a 25% reduction, and with the vault weapons that was not being applied. So the M16A3, a lot of people complaining about that one. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit easier to handle. Now before we move on to the buffs to the vault weapons, let's go over some of the nerfs, and the first one here is going to come as no surprise. So the Avances, of course, it was highly accurate and it had a massive magazine, super powerful sustained fire, really good at ranges. That has seen a nerf. So the base recoil has been increased from 0.32 to 0.36, and the dispersion per shot has been increased from 0.03 to 0.06, so a 100% increase for the dispersion there. That should actually make sustained fire with this thing a lot worse. You're going to have to actually burst it now. Now the K30 has also seen another nerf. This thing has been getting absolutely hammered by DICE recently. I think sooner or later it's going to end up as the worst SMG maybe, but it is still pretty good. I'm not going to defend it too much, but basically what they decided is that it was too accurate at medium distances where it's, you know, supposed to be a close range SMG. So they've made a few changes here. The minimum dispersion angle has been increased from 0.15 to 0.18. Dispersion per shot increased from 0.09 to 0.15, and the dispersion decrease rate has been reduced from 20 down to 4. And similarly here, the MP9 has been treated in much the same manner, so the same problem there. It was too good at medium range, and that one has had its dispersion per shot increase from 0.06 to 0.11, and the minimum dispersion angle increased from 0.14 to 0.17. Now, let's get on to the interesting stuff here, because the vault weapons, as I did mention earlier, have seen some buffs. So firstly, the M16A3, just like the Avances actually when Season 2 released, and the AM40, they had the wrong headshot multiplayers, so too did the M16A3, and it now has the correct assault rifle headshot multiplier, so it should be a little bit higher in DPS now. They've also recognized that the M16A3 didn't match the performance of the other assault rifles in the game, so to compensate they have reduced its recoil and improved its accuracy during sustained fire. So base recoil has been reduced by 0.44 to 0.36, the first shot recoil multiplier has been reduced from 1.45 to 1.15, and dispersion per shot whilst ADSing has been reduced from 0.13 to 0.1. So some pretty nice changes there. In addition, the vault weapons overall have had their weapon draw speed brought up a little bit, and it now matches those of the all-out warfare weaponry. So once you've stopped sprinting or you're switching to your primary, the vault weapon should feel a little bit more snappy when you actually go to ADS an enemy and try and spray them down. Now the M60E4 did not match the performance of the other LMGs, far from it. It was probably the worst LMG in the game, and to compensate they've reduced its recoil and improved its accuracy during sustained fire. So for this one we've got base recoil reduced from 0.6 to 0.54, dispersion per shot on ADSing reduced from 0.22 to 0.17, and reduced stepped recoil multiplier from 6 bullets to 4. So instead of the first 6 bullets that you fire in a spray having different recoil multipliers, that will now only apply to the first 4 bullets. And then the big one here is that the damage has been increased over all ranges. So definitely some good changes there. Hopefully it's going to make these weapons a little bit more worthwhile using. No changes to the M1911. I think we can all agree that one's pretty lackluster. But the P90 and the Gold Magnum seem very, very good, so I'm not sure they're actually going to make too many changes, or if they do, they're probably going to come in the shape of nerfs. So this patch is coming tomorrow, October the 11th, and it of course coincides with the dropping of the Liquidators event, which I'm sure you guys have heard about by now. That one is going to run from October the 11th to October the 25th, and it is of course going to feature smaller 8v8 and 16v6 conquest maps. So week 1 is going to be 8v8 and week 2 is going to be 16v16. Now you earn ribbons in these game modes by partaking in them, and with those ribbons you can unlock special limited time skins for select weapons and specialists. So I will be definitely jumping on tomorrow, checking out the new changes to the vault weapons, checking out the Liquidators event, and I have to say it's probably a pretty great event when it comes to wanting to check out changes to those specific weapons. So hopefully I will see some of you guys on the battlefield. Thank you guys for watching the video, hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.